And we say greetings, this is Kabanka Pyramid representing the Lion Voice vlog. Make sure that them check it out and stay tuned. See? Rastafari blessings every time.
I said.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lion's Voice. Now put it, I Jalifa said that.
This is
the Abyssinians.
The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is
The Lion's Voice. They had no fear at all. It must God, it was God, let him be praised. It must God, it was God, let him be praised.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it's Exodus. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
African pride, root of all nations, boy. I tried with the lion, the Rastafari. Lion of it tried with lioness like I do. Empress on the front line, we need you. Well, this is Medicine, the steady one, and you are now tuned in to the Lion's Voice Network. What the lion fought for do? Scorch them. Roast and parch them.
Empress Manel, and I young science. Oh, your role universally unfold. Be told. Blessed love, this is Itege Idama, and it's time for the lioness and the lion's voices to be heard. This is the Lion's Voice, Rastafari.
Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the Lion's Voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the Lion's Voice.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the Lion's Voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the Lion's Voice, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Trent of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the Lion Voice, because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here, hear me now. Oh, yeah, the Lion's Voice. Raw.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion comes with sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice. Well, front to us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Rastafari. Lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Rastafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Cote d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie Sefi and all tribal war. Time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. Rastafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Rastafari. We do everything.
iRoots Records, an online shop for reggae and dub vinyl, CDs and Rastafari books. Rastafari owned and operated for over 15 years. We ship worldwide. We have many titles from Frontline publications in stock. We have 50 plus Akabeka Midnight titles, which we believe is the most of any shop in the world. Special invite for the Lion Pride. Use code Lion's Voice and save 10% store-wide. If you spend $125 or more, the discount goes up to 15%. Visit us online at www.irootsrecords.com. The time has come.
321 Productions and RBG Alliance presents the 3rd annual Conscious Reggae Concert Family Unity Fest,
featuring the Abyssinians, Aisha Bell, Mary Isaacs, Ragalux, I Brave, and many more at the Jammings in New Kingston. 2,500 pre-sold, 3,000 at the door. Children under 12 for free. Don't miss the Abyssinians live in Kingston, Jamaica. Can't be missed. History.
In the haunting echoes of violence against women in St. Anne, Jamaica, a mysterious vigilante emerges. For the Woman Painted Purple unfurls a gripping narrative of empowerment, retribution, and the pursuit of justice. Brenda and her group sisters bond together in therapy over their common struggles, but soon their group becomes the subject of an investigation. As the vigilante's actions escalate, the relentless detective, Officer Woodley, races to unmask the mystifying figure. For the Woman Painted Purple is a pulse-pounding tale that explores the boundaries of justice, revenge, and the fighting spirit. This thrilling saga delves into the complexities of dealing with mental health, domestic abuse, and finding love after. Own your copy today. Visit www.devanigreen.com.
This is The Black Heart Man, Rastafari children's picture book, with hand-painted illustrations and rhythmic storytelling. This is a journey you do not want to miss. We offer worldwide shipping, so order your copy today at www.degreerspaintbrush.com. Alternatively, you can order your copy from TikTok. If you are interested in stocking the book, please email us at degreerspaintbrush@gmail.com. Give thanks.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Talk Live. Welcome to Lion Talk Live, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story tonight. Special episode. We welcome one of our legendary Rastafari elders, pioneer in the field of agriculture, um, leader, former president of the Caribbean Rastafari organization, and today is his Earthstrong. So we thought that we would exercise some of the joy that we have been creating here as a Lion Pride and as a platform. We are nearing 76,000 strong in the Lion Pride as subscribers, and we have 53 members of our Lion Pride, our monthly My Lion Pride on Patreon. We just welcome a new member. Big up Amaha Selassie, one of my brethren for over 20 years. We give thanks anyone who sees the vision and invests and pours into Rastafari independent non-aligned media. We are doing over 4,000 hours a month, people watching this content on the platform from all over the world. We get the analytics. We're doing over 100,000 views per month, which on the grand scale of YouTube, we're still a toddler. I can't say we're a baby anymore. We're a toddler. We just a walk, we just a get with legs under we just ramping up. But with success and with the rising, we have responsibility that also rises. And one of those responsibilities, according to the liberty that we have sworn to uphold, is that the age be protected. And I've been reasoning with my elder, and my elder shared with I that he needs a surgery to preserve his and maintain his eyesight. And elder said it was his Earthstrong today. So I said, elder, make we celebrate, make we celebrate the Earthstrong on the platform, and at the same time, let us reach out to the Lion Pride, who I know are a generous family, and just tell them to full the strength. We're trying to get 3,000. So we're testing the muscles of the Lion Voice Network today. I don't know what the outcome is going to be at the end of the broadcast, but we're going to see how much strength that we can raise, and the ones them can put their pledges. And please, don't send the strength to I. I have the elders' contact information. It will be scrolling across the bottom for the entire program. That is a direct link to the elder. This is a sophisticated elder, work for the government of St. Lucia. We'll get all of that story. So him know how to conduct business and his affairs. So I'm not worried about people bothering the elder, because he may burn a fire if you call him with foolishness. But this is a direct number to the elder, and you can do Western Union from your house. There is an electronic, you can sign up online and send it, so you don't have to find a store like one time. I'm not sure about MoneyGram, but I'm sure it's the same thing. But these are two ways to get the money to the elder in St. Lucia. And again, this is just part of the responsibility now. We are an primarily offensive-minded platform, meaning that we're looking to build Zion on earth, or to manifest the world that Rastafari sings about and talks about. That's our primary mission. But as we do that, we have to preserve the archive, the living knowledge, the living trad, the integrity. So that is what tonight is about. So family, help I to welcome our esteemed elder, ancient of days, the great Bongo Wisely. Royal blessing, Bongo Wisely.
Rastafari. Yes, I give thanks, Bongo Kwasi. Yeah, always a pleasure. Let me start with first. Glory to word, glory to sound, glory be to the living eye, Kadamawi, Haile Selassie, and Empress Menen Asfa. Giving thanks for life, giving thanks for health and strength, giving thanks for everything that is good. Baraka be thy holy name, Kadamawi, Haile Selassie, and Empress Menen. Give thanks, Kwasi. Always a pleasure, to be on the Lion Pride. And I must say, I must give thanks, for the high energy, the high efforts in raising the Lion Pride up to the status which it is today, 76,000 subscribers. That is great works, my beloved, within the period of time where the Lion Pride has been on show. We give thanks that, at least we have 76,000 subscribers. Because normally when things pertaining to Rastafari, you find, well, it's mostly Rastafari ones would be in tune. But I know for sure that the Lion Pride reaches out to Rastafari as well as non-Rastafari, all Pan-African people, and even non-African people as well are tuning to the Lion Pride. That's testimony to the works which the I team has been doing. I know it's not the I alone.
Yes,
I think the IM is integrally involved, so we give thanks for all of that strength and support, which is the works is just to build the image of Rastafari and to take Rastafari to another level where we will be fully embraced by all ones and ones out there, because we know the glory which Rastafari has to offer. But then men and people try to scorn us and turn us around and call us all kind of names to try and detract from our glory. But that will never be done. Rastafari say no. It's forward ever, backward never. Give thanks, my king, Rastafari.
Give thanks. And the eye, is so humble. And we're going to get into the eye story. We posted a flash forward episode of the first time we had Bongo Wisely on the platform. It's live now. But we're going to go over some of the history, because this is one of our legendary elders. And I am nothing without the eye, in terms of what the I them generation did. There's a reason that I could go to Africa and the police and the soldier salute I man and I hail Jah Rastafari, or I could go into the village, in far out Ghana, and little youths could run out and say Jah Rastafari. Is because of the chad that they are them chad. There's a reason I can go to any Caribbean island and automatic respect from, the people, the grassroots people, walk through any community, uptown, downtown. This is the sacrifice that these elders made so that we could have a Lion Voice network, and have an audience out there that's looking for Rastafari content. Is this generation, these Asians and the ones who came before them. So to I, this is just an honor. This is like a privilege, a great privilege to be able to host the I this evening. And again, I know most of our audience will watch this on the replay. Make sure you support the elder, reach out to the elder directly, Western Union, MoneyGram. $3,000 is really 300 people giving $10, So I don't want us feel like there's no heavy load. We're averaging, anywhere between 300 and 500 views per video. So if everybody who watched the video, just donate $10. We this is light work, family. I want us to know the power that we have when we come together. And if we had 600 people, it's $5. You know what I mean? And you keep on doing the maths. 3,000 people are $1, you know. So we have the power to solve some of these, fill the gaps until we get the economic engine, because really and truly, our elder should be booked out all time of year as a consultant. This is one of the preeminent agronomists in the Caribbean, and he was dealing with experiments in agriculture. We're gonna get to all of that. Bongo Wisely, I want there to just reintroduce thyself to the global family, starting with, you know, where I was born, the land of Ayanola. You know, just take us through that history, and their journey to Rastafari, to the ones who didn't get a chance to see your classic episode on this platform.
Yes, I give thanks. Yeah, man. Well, Bongo Wisely Tafari was born as Burnet Sealy in the land of Ayanola, which the idea may know as St. Lucia. Born in 1955 to a large family. There were 9 of us in the family, our parents, and there were 7 of us, male, and 2 sisters, 2 females. So a household of 9 children and the 2 parents. You know, so growing together, it was very challenging at times, you know, because my parents were not rich people as such. They were people who struggled, because my father had to be leaving Ayanola and go to Barbados and cut sugar cane and them things to make a change, and then come forward and use that change for the upliftment of his children. He was, during that time also, he was able to open a little shop for his wife. And we, as we grew up, we were the ones to help her in the shop, to keep the shop going, while she would be doing other house chores and so on. So it was a love, it was a joy, as I say, in spite of all the challenges which we went through, you know, because we were not rich people. Sometimes I remember there were times where going to school is just sugar water and a bread and some butter. That's all our parents could have afforded, you know. But we never really give up on that, but we know how the struggle was. So we endured, and eventually, you know, as time went on, we were able to overcome. You know, well, as I said, within the family, well, our intellect, our intelligence was something no one could have questioned. Because I remember from primary school days, the teacher, the head teacher and all would always recommend not only myself, but my other brothers before me, and even those after me, in terms of our intelligence, our ability to learn what was being taught us at the time, you know. So we were blessed with that kind of level of intelligence by the Most High. You know, our parents, well, initially, they were Roman Catholics, but then along the way, they got converted to other Eurocentric Christian facilities, because at one time, my father used to host a group of European missionaries. Our home became the place where they would keep their service whenever they come in the village and so on. We accommodated them. So I kind of grew up, not me alone, but all of us within the family grew up in that Eurocentric Christian background, you know. We studied the Bible, we did a lot, you know, and so on. Yeah. And eventually, all 3 of us were successful in going over to secondary school in St. Lucia. The highest school at the time was St. Mary's College. And apart from St. Mary's College, there was St. Joseph's Convent, which was for the female. It was being run by the sisterhood, the nuns, we call them the nuns, and the primary school was being run by the same priesthood and them, who were very close with the nuns, so that in terms of the principal of the school were the nuns, and the church was also very integral within the community, because the church was one of the biggest building in the village from that time, So the influence of the Roman Catholic was very strong.
Very strong.
In the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Do they speak French in St. Lucia?
Well, we don't speak, well, those who go to school would speak the proper French. But we spoke what they would call Creole.
Yes.
Well, some people refer to it as broken French. But it was a combination of French, English, and African language, so they found a melting pot in what we refer to as the Creole right now. So those of us who went to school, we were able to study the grammatical French so we can communicate with other French people. But the Creole is also spoken in Martinique, in Guadeloupe, in Dominica, those regions where the French had control.
That's what I'm
because during colonial days, St. Lucia was...
Do all St. Lucians speak English?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Especially for now. In my time, there were people who could not speak English. But for now, I would say every St. Lucian speaks English. But then, as I was saying earlier on, during the colonial wars, St. Lucia exchanged hands. 7 times British, 7 times French.
Okay.
Until eventually, at what was known as the Treaty of Paris, France decided to hand over St. Lucia to the British. And from there, the British took over administratively. But the French roots is still there in St. Lucia, even up till now.
Okay. Serious thing. Serious thing. So, talk to us about your journey to Rastafari, the first time you saw Rastafari brethren. Just with us doing a quick refresher course, because I have some other topics I want you to touch on your Earthstrong.
Yeah, man. Well, again, as I said, I went to St. Mary's College, which was run again by the same priesthood people from Ireland, Irish people. They were the ones who really run the St. Mary's College. The St. Joseph's Convent, the same way, was run by the female, the nuns. So religious knowledge was part of our curriculum at school, so. But then after a period of time, I remember it was around 1969 or 70, there was a revolution, like small revolution, where the students revolted against the indoctrination of the Roman Catholic philosophy, because the government of the day wanted to move away and open the field, as we would say, make it more neutral. So then they use us, the students, to come and demonstrate, to let the authorities know that we are ready to take on a more embracing environment as against the strictly colonial education which was being implemented. So I was part of that. I remember with my placard and so on as a youth, talking against the fact that the British, the French, especially the Roman Catholic doctrine, because education is supposed to be for all, but there were a lot of discrimination from people who are not Roman Catholic, and other denominations, even from the teachers, from the principals, and so on, also trying to force people to be more of Roman Catholic oriented, but it never prevailed.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
So
So,
then from there, yes, in St. Mary's College, I remember the first time, well, I heard about Rastafari officially. From the time I entered St. Mary's College, 68, by 69, you could say Rastafari started appearing on the landscape in Ianola. You know, but then at the time, you could imagine the way it was reacted to by the system. Because even our parents didn't want us to even talk about Rastafari or even talk to the ones who started manifesting Rastafari. But then I must say, in terms of from that time, the ones that were manifesting Rastafari, very few of them had the real doctrine or the real teachings of Rastafari. Some of them got to know about Rastafari from, at the time, the federal boat, the federal maple, the federal palm, used to travel from Guyana in the south and go up to Jamaica in the north. And so Jamaicans would travel on the boat and stop off in different islands. So we were able to see Rastafari, and some brethren that's how they got in tune to Rastafari. Some of them also went to school in Jamaica and came back with the teachings of Rastafari.
okay.
But as I said, the system gave them a dreadful fight, you know. So it was a struggle to maintain the teachings of Rastafari. Until then, we start to hear through the music world now. We had people like Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus, who they had that album Naya Bingi, where they had beat and so on. Those tunes started reaching the airwaves. And then, you know, some of us start to realize, boy, the way the people make us feel as a Rasta is, you know, renegades and dirty people and thieving people and all them things there. We realize, no, it could not be so. But all of that was part of the intention of the colonizers to eradicate Rastafari. So they gave a bad picture as to what Rastafari was all about. So then now, when I went to St. Mary's College, as I said, one of the people who returned, a student who went to seminary in Trinidad, I think, and you know, to learn about the priesthood and so on. And when he returned on vacation, he was employed at St. Mary's College to teach religious knowledge. And it is in one of those sessions I heard the individual speaking about Rastafari, about them people in Jamaica who call themselves Rastafari, and how they say they worship in Haile Selassie as their God, and so on. You know, he brought it to us in that manner. You know, and there I started thinking, you know, because knowing the Bible as a man who grew up in the Bible, you know, and he said that they were using the Bible. So I say, wow, Rastafari using the Bible, and people making us feel as though Rasta is vagabonds and is wharf rats and, you know, them kind of way there, you know. So it raised something within our consciousness, you know. So it's then now, through that, I started to get more knowledge as to what Rastafari is all about. And in there, then when from St. Mary's College, after graduation, I got a scholarship from the government to study agriculture, because agriculture was one of my favorite subjects at school. You know, so we went to the Jamaica School of Agriculture in Spanish Town. That was in 1974, you know, and it's there now. I really ground myself with Rastafari. I remember the first session I attended, Rastafari session, was in November 1974. It was a coronation celebration that took place on the Mona campus in Jamaica. So some of my brethren, my friends from Jamaica invited me to go to that session. And I accepted the invitation. I went to them. And I was amazed, Kwasi. When I entered the session, I see the 12 tribe brethren is the Bible they use in the very same Bible.
Right.
But then the interpretation was different.
Yes.
Because I remember the brethren them reading from the epistle of Peter, Timothy, and John, and all of these things there. And the way they interpreted it, it made me feel that it is black people they were relating to. But whereas when in my upbringing with the missionaries and so on, they made us feel, well, we black people, we are the Gentiles. And as we are sinners, them kind of a way there, and we need to look to Jesus Christ and all them kind of thing there, you know?
Yes.
But then later in life, I come to realize that we black people are the Jews and not the Gentiles.
Judah,
you know?
Yes. Jew is just short for Judah. Yes,
Tribe of Judah. You know, so all of that make me realize, you know, the misconception coming from the Eurocentric people. And also I remember once, you know, coming on vacation from Jamaica, because I, as a youth, I was president of the youth arm within the church. And so we had a summer camp where young people, and there were two or three pastors from other islands which came, and they were the ones administering the camp. So one day we were having a session, and then I asked a question. I say, Pastor, how come in Psalms 87 it speak about exalting the name of the Most High by his name Jah, J-A-H? So then I asked him, how come you all keep fighting the Rasta man who calling upon Jah? And look, the Bible itself is telling us that we must exalt the name of the Most High. You know, the response the pastor gave me, what Jah you talking about? The only Jah I know is a Jah of jam. So right away I realized the man taking me for a joke. The Bible is telling you exalt the High by his highest name, Jah, and you telling me the only Jah you know is a Jah of jam. So all of these things, you know, gradually help to kind of move me away, you know. So I start thinking for myself now and not depending on the teaching of the pastors at the time. I stopped going to church for a period of time, but then I would stay home when my parents go to church, my family, and I would read the Bible, but reading it, as it say, reading it with understanding now, as against just being indoctrinated, you know. So that is how I would say the start of my involvement within the Rastafari tradition.
And I think it's key. I think that's key because no, I think it's key. You know, this is the tradition of Rastafari, where we would go and check an elder, and maybe he would be preparing a chalice, and we would sit at his foot, and he would tell us these stories of his uprising, and it would be a group of young people, you know. But now every young person is scrolling, and we're not getting this kind of vibration. So it's a beauty that on his Earthstrong, we can virtually assemble at the elder's foot and listen to these history and this this story. You know what I mean? This is so powerful. And the Bible, you know, a lot of people want to throw it away, but it's one of the seminal books of human history, and every human being should read the Bible. You know what I mean? How you want to treat it after that is up to the eye, but we as Rastafari can't get away from the Bible and the history because of Ethiopia and His Majesty. You know, the teachings of His Majesty lead us to that book. But His Majesty is very clear. He said, don't limit yourself to this book. Seek secular knowledge, read all of, all of the different traditions. And so Rastafari is not limited to the Bible. But I think it's short-sighted to burn out the Bible and you're not dealing with the Bible. You don't know nothing about the Bible. When the Bible has had, I don't think there's any book on the planet that has had more impact on the planet than that book. You don't think you should read it? You know what I mean? So that is how I want to put it across.
But then,
continue.
in terms of the Bible, you see, because most of us grow up learning or being instructed by the so-called missionaries, or even the Roman Catholic Church, or the Pentecostal, or the Seventh-day Adventists, and so on. You know, those people. So the interpretation of the Bible is very important, and that is where the matrix lies. You know, because as I said, when I listened to the 12 tribe brethren them in Jamaica in 1974, and I compared to the Bible knowledge which I already had as a youth growing up, there was a total transformation in how I understood what was written there.
Yes.
You see, so then when I hear brethren say burn the Bible, in a way I kind of see with some of them, because we know that there's a lot of manipulation has taken place within the Bible, the King James Version which we have today.
Yes.
Although His Majesty say no matter what version, the word remains the same. But then it's the interpretation of the word which makes the difference.
Yes.
You see, but if you read your Bible with understanding, because now to be able to read the Bible with understanding, you have to have that level of self-awareness, self-consciousness.
Yes.
Because if you go read it based on your secular knowledge, because you went to school and you know how to read and interpret a verse and so on, you might be misled.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of manipulation which has taken place, you know, in the Bible. For example, you know, the Bible itself tells you that the Bible is the word of God, and any man who add or subtract is doing the works of the devil. The Ethiopian version has 88 books, but King James only has 66. So 22 books were removed. So which means that they are proven to be the devil, to be the works of the devil. You see, so though you'd read the 66 books and get an understanding, but the intention of the people who are behind that is to hide the truth. They felt that certain books we were not suitable or not qualified to learn to know them things. So they consider they hiding that from us, man. We're not supposed to know that. That is the deception that has taken place. You know?
Serious thing. We're here with Bongo Wisely. If you're watching us live, this is also a fundraiser as well as a celebration. You can send Western Union or MoneyGram. The information is below. Just use the phone number and the elder's government name, Burnet Sealy. And you can send and then call the elder, let him know how much you have sent. So you can also WhatsApp him the tracking number and these things, so that we can meet our goal. Our goal is $3,000 US dollars. We're gonna give an update on Wednesday's live broadcast, how far we reach. And we're not gonna leave our elder until we reach the goal of 3,000. So if we don't hit it today, we're gonna continue this effort until we reach that. This is a community that we're building. You can see we have the greatest comment section on the internet. There's no competition anymore in my mind. You know what I mean? I'm biased in my mind. But there's no competition anymore about who have the best comment section. And I know a lot of people watch the episode. You just come in for 5 minutes, you leave, you come back later. So just give that strength and let's see the power. This is when I talk about working the muscle. Lion Pride is an active movement. We're not just a static movement. I'm not talking to the people who are not subscribing. I'm only talking to the Lion Pride, the 75,000 plus, almost 76,000 plus people who have pressed subscribe. If you're just watching, welcome to our family, our growing community. We are here with our legendary elder, just getting some history, celebrating the joy and the glory of our elder's life, and also putting together some resources so that the elder can continue to shine that light and have his vision, unabated. And we'll get to all of these things. So I want to continue with the history because, the biblical thing, it really is a stumbling block for many of our Pan-African family because of the trauma inflicted by the missionaries, the rape, the pillaging, the use. But we have to also remember that when the Bible or the story of the Hebrews was introduced in Europe, it was not accepted immediately. It was persecuted by Rome for over 300 years. Christians or people who cited up the concept, the Christ consciousness, the Almighty in man, were killed on sight. You know what I mean? This was an ancient African cosmology, seeing the Almighty in man. This is a Nile Valley. It doesn't get more Nile Valley than that. This went to Sumer, Cush, the Nile Valley, the god kings of Egypt, the Pharaoh, who was seen as the divine king. All of this conception of the Almighty within a human form is very African. Remember, says Zeus and Jupiter is a sky god, You know what I mean? Is a sky god. So that's why when Christianity comes into Rome, the concept of Christ becomes a sky god concept, because they were hailing Jupiter and Zeus. But we always, as Africans, had this conception of man being, the Almighty being able to manifest as man. And you know what I mean? So this concept, when it was in Rome, people forget that the Romans rose against it until Constantine, 300 years after it started coming in from North Africa. People forget the first seat of Christianity was in Egypt, Alexandria, Libya. All these places were the first places that it was on the continent of Africa that Christianity took hold first. But because of the whitewashing of Christianity during the Renaissance, you see everybody feels like this is a European concept and that Europeans imposed it. You look at Russia with the black icons of Yeshua and Mary, in the Eastern Orthodox, most of the black iconography that you see survive there. But, so talk about, as you're now learning more and you're learning about Rastafari, how did you get to the divinity of Haile Selassie I and seeing him as more than just a great Pan-Africanist, but the Almighty manifest in flesh and bone?
Yes, well, even before I touch that piece, but talking about the God in man, man in God, and so on, the divinity that human has the ability to attain divine qualities. We remember in the Nicene Conference, 325 BC, I think it was, or 325 AD.
AD.
Right. where Constantine created that conference with the intention, because there were, well, I refer to them as Rastafari, because Rastafari means righteousness. So there were people who were promoting that same philosophy of God in man, man in God, man, divine qualities. And that conference, its intention was to persecute those individuals and have everybody submit to the Roman concept of God in the sky, the same God in the sky thing. And that's what Constantine was pushing. And they persecuted the Africans, because before Christianity in Africa, there was Ubuntu. And the watchwords of Ubuntu, as you say, I am because the I. We are because you are. You are because I am. It shows that human connection, And it's so from there, all of these things were in us, but they tried to suppress it. They did suppress it for a period of time, but like a seed, if you bury the seed and you turn your back, 2 days, 3 days after, the seed will germinate. So eventually that philosophy of the respect for humanity, because Constantine, Rome, they were highly affiliated with the white supremacy philosophy, and that's what they were promoting. Now, in order to promote white supremacy, they had to denigrate our black ancestors and their story. So that is where the manipulation in the Bible also took place. All the images we would see in the Bible, the white man and white people, and when it comes to the devil, they would show the devil as a black man. So it's all them things, which really had us questioning the Eurocentric philosophy of Christianity. And some of us were able to make the transition. Some of us get caught up in it. Some of us, just fell by the wayside. So, so then moving forward in terms of accepting the divinity of His Majesty, first from that philosophy which our ancestors were promoting, there is divinity within humanity. So as we went on along, then reading the scriptures itself, again, the very same Bible, in Acts chapter 2, verse 30, it said, according to the loins, according to the flesh, I will raise up Christ to sit upon the throne of David. Now, in the Roman concept, it made us feel Christ is an individual, but Christ is an anointed person. It's a title. It's not the name of an individual. It's a title given to someone who has been anointed, someone who has been chosen to do certain good works. He becomes a Christ. But the way they gave it to us, Jesus Christ, as thing, and in further studying the story about Jesus Christ, we came to realize that that was an artwork, the image of the person which they presented to us as Jesus Christ. That was the artwork of one of them Roman artists. I think the picture of his cousin or something so.
Yes,
and they became so impressed that they took that and they start promoting that as Jesus the Christ.
Yes.
So again, the brainwash education. In Acts chapter 2, as I said, it said, I will raise up Christ to sit upon the throne of David. Now, the throne of David, when even from the Bible itself, we read of David, it was not a throne in the sky. It was something on earth. Then we know the story of David, Solomon, you know. Then we know of the story where the Queen of Sheba visited Solomon in search of knowledge, wise mind.
Stick a pin because right now evangelical Christians and Jews are both waiting for their Messiah to come forward, and this is a big sticking point for both of them because for the Jews, you know, they feel that if they rebuild the Temple of Solomon, which is the site of the Allah's Mosque in Jerusalem, that their Messiah will return. But they don't have that bloodline from the throne of David, which if you talk about the throne of David continuing, you cannot get rid of Ethiopia, you know. There's this is a big problem for the evangelical Christians who feel that they have to bring forth the Armageddon war, which they are trying to spark with Persia in the Middle East. They also are thinking that during this Armageddon war, their Christ will return. But a guy can't just show up right now and say he's the son of David. We have to go check out him genealogy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And without Ethiopia, that whole thing crash. You know what I mean? That whole thing crash. So this is a very key, and His Majesty is the only head of state to put that genealogy in a constitution. Israel doesn't have a constitution. You know what I mean? Israel doesn't have a constitution. Ethiopia is the only country that has made a claim, even though the countries of Europe all say they are Solomonic, the royalty, but it's a very tenuous. They don't make that kind of claim of descent in their legal text. Ethiopia was the first to introduce that into the League of Nations and then into the United Nations as, you know, a certain claim of the Davidic throne and of Solomon. So this is very important because it said the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until the coming of Shiloh. His Majesty is putting forth his legal claim and telling everybody else, come and test. Make we know where you come from. Nobody could.
Yes, but remember, you know, the same Bible tell us, woe be unto those who say they are Jews, but they are not. They are of the synagogue of Satan. And those Ashkenazi people, some of their ancestors, from what I've studied, some of their ancestors got converted to Judaism. So with the thrust of white supremacy, you know, they enforce that thing, you know, and make those people look like the real Jews, but they are the false Jews. Because in 1948, by the United Nations, made that proclamation. It was the Balfour Declaration, where they established that state of Israel in Palestine with the intention of eventually overtaking the real Jews and popping up the so-called false Jews. Yeah, so we those of us who study the Bible, we need to be mindful of that also. You know, that there are people who will come and try and take our place and say that them are the chosen ones. You know, because there I say many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes.
You know, so those people there who claiming to be the real Jews, they are not. They are of the synagogue of Satan. And we see what's happening in Israel, in Palestine, all now. The war that is ongoing. You cannot be the chosen ones of the Almighty and involved in all them kind of atrocities, bombing schools, bombing children. Look at how they deal with Lebanon and all those countries, with Gaza. You know, you cannot be of the children of the Most High. So there again, you know, we have to be mindful that we don't get carried away by feeling that those people are the Jews and we are the Gentiles. You know, it is the exact opposite, you know. Those
Yeah.
Ashkenazis, they are, if anything, they are the Gentiles,
Yes.
together with
Yeah.
their white supremacy supporters and followers. You know,
Definitely. Definitely.
whereas the African people, the Jewish nation, well, Jew come from Judah. Judah was
Yes.
one of the sons of Israel, you know. But
And
then
there's no story in the Bible that says that the Hebrews went north and stayed in the north for thousands of years and lost their melanin. Remember that the Hebrew story, the two main kingdoms that are throughout the Bible are Kemet and Cush. Because when you talk
Cush,
about Abraham, you're talking about Abraham was in Ur of the Chaldees, which was in Iraq, which is a Cushite kingdom, you know, the ancient Babylon. And they tell you that Babylon was created by Nimrod, who was the son of Cush, and it was on the banks of the Euphrates. So those ancient empire was Cush, the first superpower, and then Kemet, which they, you know, the story of Moses and all of that was, and Joseph is Kemet. So the two kingdoms that shaped is the Hebrews were two African mega states, Kemet and Cush. There's no story according to the Hebrew. And remember, these stories were oral traditions that were passed down until, according to the Hebrews, one of their ancestors rose to the ascended in the ranks in Kemet and followed the Kemet people and start to write down the history, you know, which is Moses. And when they wrote down the history now, this is passing on animal skins and these things until it come down into the modern area and the Christians start to compile biblical text. So this would have been scrolls. A man does carry a scroll. So when you read in the Bible about the Ethiopian eunuch, he was reading a scroll of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah. You know what I mean? They were reading the scroll separate. And if you want to see what these look like, if you go to the Dead Sea Scrolls, you can see at Qumran, they had these big vases that they found in the mountains with all of these, you know, the book of Isaiah, the book of Enoch, book of Jubilees. This is how they realized that a lot of the books that were in the Ethiopian Bible were studied by the ancient Hebrews. Same way the Essenes and these things, it was the Dead Sea Scrolls when they found all of these books that were not in the Bible. And I see the I. Martin Lava said the Kebra grass was written down in the 14th century, which is true according to the academics. That's the earliest they found, but people also have to realize that a lot of manuscripts were lost during the Muslim invasion of Gramm, the left-handed Imad Gramm, and those that were not burned and destroyed were hidden deeply. So scholars would not have access to the oldest copies of the ancient Ethiopian manuscripts. Them think they don't, no Western eye, no guy don't get to see them. So when we see you know, these dates that they give to the Kebra Nagas and these histories and these stories, we have to take it with a grain of salt once you know Ethiopian history. The other thing is that we know that in the 7th century, the early Islamists went to Ethiopia and then buck up in a Christian king, and that Solomonic fullness was already there. So even if the Kebra Nagas is not written until 7 centuries later in the 14th century, you know, Ethiopia is still running off of that biblical orientation. And even before Azana and these things, when you get into the Aksumite kingdom, people always say, boy, it wasn't until it was a Syrian, two Syrian monks, European Syrians who brought Fragmentus and the next brother there, who brought Christianity to Ethiopia. But Christianity was already in Ethiopia before that, through the eunuch, according to the Ethiopian church. This is not I saying these things. According to the Orthodox tradition, the Apostle Matthew, who wrote the book of Matthew, was martyred in Ethiopia. He traveled to Ethiopia and he stayed with the, you know, him and the eunuch were down there spreading the word. What they're saying is that Frumentius and these people came and introduced Christianity to the royal court. That's when the court converted forward to Christianity in the 3rd century with the Syrians, but Christianity was already in Ethiopia. The Judaism or the Hebrew faith was in Ethiopia, the Falasha, and the Falasha and the Christian kings clashed. Judith in the 9th century led a revolution, a Falasha revolution, you know what I mean? And her descendants were the Zagwe dynasty, Lalibela, even though they were Christian. So this thing is so deep in Ethiopian history that.
But even before the Kibra niggas, there was the Fata niggas, which is the rule of the judges, the people who were, in terms to execute justice and so on. The Fata niggas was what was being used by the ancestors before to make rightful decisions, to determine what is the way to go forward, when you govern in a people. They were being governed by the Fata niggas. And all of these things have been taken away from us for now. Because all now His Majesty still makes recognition of the Fata niggas, the importance of the Fata niggas, especially when it comes to governance, administration, But right now, all our leaders today, they take their guide from Westminster, which is the same white supremacy philosophy, the same racist philosophy, and so on. So though they are African leaders, but their teachings coming from the white supremacy background. So that's why we in so much chaos today, because our leaders refuse to take the right instructions to govern the people. Yeah.
Yes, it's serious. It's serious. And the other thing we have to also always make mention is how His Majesty separated the Ethiopian church from the Coptic church through the process of autocephaly, meaning giving Ethiopia the autonomy to choose its own archbishops and practice its own unique faith, because the Ethiopian Christianity evolved different than the Coptics, even though up until His Majesty time, the archbishop had to come from Cairo, you know what I mean? But His Majesty through Alexandria, His Majesty through his knowledge, his biblical knowledge, was able to seat up with the archbishop and orchestrate Ethiopia's separation through the process of autocephaly, meaning becoming autonomous for Ethiopia to regulate its own church. So these are some of the things, and it's appropriate that we have this reasoning because this is Rastafari month on the Lion Voice Network. So we focusing on why this man, gets so much praises around the world, why Rastafari elevate this man who was born in this month as a child.
Uniqueness.
Yes, you know what I mean? Because it's very peculiar. It's very peculiar because most people's faith is based on someone that you don't know about, you can't really do no research. We choose someone who was in the limelight, globally. And his works are open to everyone to see, transparent, the most transparent faith in terms of what we're dealing with and what we stand for and what we represent, because it's a living eye and it lives within I and I, so we don't worship the physical man in the sense that, we are trying to find this man. And no, we look at His Majesty as inside of I and I. We see ourselves in the King, and the King see, and the King see us as Him, as an extension of Him, and we are, So I see the imperial
same Ubuntu spirit, I am because the I is.
Yes. And Marty Lava, yes, His Majesty was a member of all of those, every Masonic order that could give His Majesty the highest order, because that was the highest um, praises that they had to give. They were bound by their own creed to give this black man their highest order, because he governed them all. All of them looked to the Solomonic tradition as the origin of their masonry, and them think that when you go into their text. So when the root of Solomon, Ethiopia, come on the scene, all of them had to bow down. This is one of the reasons they couldn't just go kill him in Bath. You know what I mean? Because this man holds certain order and certain position within them secret society, their league of assassins, all of them think everybody have to just keep calm and keep cool, because His Majesty reign in real life, you know, real power. This is when black people for the first time see real power being wielded by a man, you know, spiritual power and actual power, you know, in terms of governing a nation and standing with dignity on the world stage as a black man. His Majesty is that. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have a guest who's going to go deep into the Masonic part of His Majesty Trad. You know, because
that is a very controversial one, you know, because
yes,
a lot of
very,
people,
yes,
tell you, well, boy, His Majesty was a lodgeman and this
yes,
and that and so on, you know. But
he
I
was,
have always been of the view, you know, because
yes,
lodge is a brotherhood,
yes,
and there will be brotherhood with the intention to bring negative vibes, and there are
yes,
brotherhood which will promote, uplift positive vibrations.
yes,
You know,
yes.
so
But
we
he
must make those
was
things.
honored as the head, but he didn't practice masonry, you know. And Bath is one of the most Masonic cities in the world, and there's no record of His Majesty going to visit any of the lodges there or fellowshipping in any of the Masonic orders there in Bath. But they all honored him and praised him, and you know what I mean, give him the accolades, and he accepted them gracefully, you know, gracefully. We're going to again, we're going to reason about these things, because he's the highest in real life, and that is why we do give thanks. This is another reason why all of these academic orders also award him. He's one of the most awarded human beings in history.
Sir.
You know what I mean? So all of these societies, secret societies, this, that, give him the highest of praises.
And it's important that he accepted those praises, because some of us would have felt as though by he accepting it, as though he joined them, but not necessarily to say he joined them and became a follower of them. It's they who acknowledge his glory, his status.
Exactly.
And the only way they could reward him is by giving him those awards which they give unto him. But he, as you say, there's no evidence of he being indulging in their folly or anything. So, you know, it is they who acknowledge him.
Yes.
In line with the scripture, which say, every knee shall bow and every tongue have to confess. So all of them have to confess and acknowledge who His Majesty is. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. But yeah, we're gonna touch on those topics. If you're joining us live, we are here with our elder Bongo Wisely, Tafari, one of our great elders out of the island of St. Lucia. Today is Earthstrong. Put some Earthstrong love in the comment section for I and I, please. Put some Earthstrong love in the comments, send an emoji, send something for the elder. How old is the I on this day? How many years did I trod in?
Score on 11.
Okay, give thanks.
Well, the scripture say, through the powers of the Almighty, we have to give thanks if we reach 310.
Yes,
but
yes.
Going on. So yes. I have to give thanks to Kadamawi for the sustainability of life, which he has endowed I and I with. You know, the health, the strength, in spite of all the challenges which we go through, we still have to be grateful to the eye, you know, for keeping I and I alive up to this day, you know. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
man.
We give thanks. We give thanks. I see the I say that His Majesty was a vassal of the Masons. Yeah, I would have to prove that. Ethiopia's foreign policy was completely independent. There's so much evidence. We interviewed the son of the foreign minister, Yetema Keferu. Keferu Makonnen. So if you want to go deeper into the pressures that the West was putting on Ethiopia and how Ethiopia pushed back, you know, most of this vassal talk is just a lack of knowledge. So we forgive the item for the lack of knowledge, but there's no evidence that
Yes,
His
sir.
Majesty was a vassal of the West or of the Eastern Bloc. You know, His Majesty, they were champions of the non-aligned. Yes, sometimes they may have policies that align with the Western Bloc or the Eastern Bloc, but Ethiopia's decisions were totally independent. They didn't please anyone, you know what I mean, in terms of their foreign policy. The Russians were building the port of Assab in Eritrea at the same time that America had a military base at Kwagno. So you cannot say they lean either way, and that was unprecedented in the 50s, 60s, and 70s for a nation to have both sides of the Cold War active on their territory doing major projects at the same time. So again, you know what I mean, people talk about His Majesty being a vassal, but there's no evidence of that. That's just your feelings, and you have to come
True.
show some evidence. And we're willing to take the evidence, you know. And remember that when His Majesty expelled Israel in 1973, it was CIA, Mossad, them who rise against him, and the whole propaganda with the famine. That, you know what I mean? That is not a vassal, and it took His Majesty a long time to recognize Israel. If His Majesty was a vassal, Ethiopia would have voted to recognize Israel out the gate, because Israel was the Western interest in the area. Ethiopia abstained from those votes that recognized Israel, even though they had properties in Jerusalem from ancient time. Ethiopians have been pilgrimaging to Jerusalem from ancient time, but Ethiopia did not vote immediately for Israel. It's only after a time they give them a chance, and then they withdrew their support in 73. So again, all of these things point to the fact that Ethiopia was not a vassal of the West, or else they would have done the West bidding. So when you say these things, Marty Lava, you have to understand when you come at this platform, you know, and I defend the faith. And you have to come good. Me not say you can't score, you know, goal, but you have to come good, because the defense over here not normal, because we know what we are talking about. So don't come with the vassal talk unless you can show some specific evidence of vassalage. Go ahead, Bongo Wisely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, in terms of going ahead, you know, in terms of my throat as Rastafari, if we do the forthcoming, I just want to decline it.
What's that sound, Bongo Wisely? What's that sound, Bongo Wisely? Okay, we're working it out. And yeah, yes, he did hold titles from them, and he also gave them titles to their top people were holders of Ethiopian titles too. It was diplomacy, how we measure when we say vassal. A vassal is a state that is there to do the bidding of the conquering state, even when that goes against their own interests. That's how we traditionally overstand a vassal. By that metric, you cannot call Ethiopia a vassal during the reign of His Imperial Majesty. Again, without apology, you have to come show some evidence, and you can't talk about medal pan shirt, because the medals on the shirt was just a fulfillment to show all of them give him the praises. You know what I mean? Every knee shall bow, every tongue confess. You look when he goes and visit their country, if that is vassal treatment where him I get, and you come forward and tell me if a vassal treatment when the military come out and have to salute, and all of the school children have to come out, and you declare national holiday when we step on your soil and them something there. This is a conquering lion, coming to conquer. So we don't want to hear the vassalage talk. Again, we'll entertain it if you can show some concrete things for sure that Ethiopia subservient to any of these nations. Again, there was a balancing act that was happening where His Majesty would vote with some times with the East, sometimes with the West, to further Ethiopia's agenda, but it was not. The policy was geared to Ethiopia's Majesty was clear about that, and we have so many evidences. Ethiopia was the nation that advocated for China's admission into the United Nations. Ethiopia was a champion. This was and we have interview again with the son of the foreign minister, said how the US and the West, hated this policy of Ethiopia trying to get China invited as a full member of the UN, until we see China now as a part of the permanent member of the Security Council and emerging as a world superpower. But it's Ethiopia that advocated for their admission against the West. So, you know what I mean? And that's just one evidence. Who was arming the liberation movements and training the soldiers in Southern Africa and in Kenya against the British, the Mau Mau? All of these people were getting arms and training in Ethiopia. This is not vassal movements, you know what I mean? So it might feel good for you to just make a talk because it might say have medals and he's honored, because you'd never see a black man get them kind of praise there. But you can't come with vassal talk with His Majesty to over here. You have to come better than that. You know what I mean? And it's not historical facts. You can't say he's a vassal is a historical fact. That's not a historical fact. That's your opinion, and it's not
definitely not.
Yeah.
Because if His Majesty was a vassal to the East or the West, he would have never inspired the formation of the non-aligned movement.
No.
Within the principle of the non-aligned, meaning they would work with either side, West or East, but they are not puppets to any of them. And that is what the non-aligned movement promoted. Where one maintained the independent as such. Although he would deal with all of them, he dealt with Russia, he dealt with the West. But he was not a puppet to any of them. So once, a lot of people keep saying them things as though His Majesty was a puppet to even to the Queen of England and all of them things there. Well, people will say things. Whenever you stand for truth and right, people will always look for fault. They will always find things to say about you. But as you say, they cannot come with any proper receipt.
No.
To show His Majesty was a puppet of either the West or the East.
No, it doesn't exist,
Exactly.
And this is what we have to really show our Pan-African brothers have lived this lie, which is why we haven't reached further. When we look at Ibrahim Traore and what these AES leaders are doing, these are things His Majesty did. Long time as Rastafari, the creation of an investment bank, all of these sovereign moves, these are things that a young Rastafari did. So it's not new, but if we ignore the history or we just try to make it trivial that His Majesty was a puppet, His Majesty was a vassal, when in the historical record doesn't support that assertion, just because His Majesty held all of these titles and things. This is heights of diplomacy. He's the Lord of Hosts, so of course he's going to accept the kindness, because that's the highest that they could have to give. You know, these are the children of Ethiopia, the nations of the earth, even though they are disrespectful and disobedient. So we have to deal with them. If you're the father of all, you have to deal with your children, them, and bring them into a fullness and build a bridge them. But in terms of vassalage, it don't fit the history. And Ethiopia today continues to rise despite all of the attempts to tear it apart with ethnic federalism. All of those efforts have failed because of His Majesty, how he built the nation, the institutions he put in place. He weaved it so tightly that even them trying to separate into Oromo, Tigray, you know, all of these different ethnic states and putting succession into the constitution, it's still not working because he forged a common Ethiopian identity from these nations that, you know, within the context of Ethiopia were vassal states to the central government. He forged it into one nation in a generation, and we are the witnesses. History was the witness to this formation, unprecedented, you know, taking a feudal state and turning it into a modern nation state. The divine power that it takes, or that it took to do that, is what we celebrate this month, Rastafari month. You know what I mean? We are in awe of the majesty of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. So one of the things I want to talk about with the eye before we seal up, and we're here celebrating the life, the works of Bongo Wisely, and we're also raising funds. So if you see the banner on the bottom, that's information to send Western Union. If you're in the diaspora, you can afford $100, $50. Send it for the Asian, a nice little birthday strength. If you can only afford $10, you know what I mean, whatever you can send. However, we do want larger attribution so we don't flood up the Western Union too much. So if you can give, you know, and we don't want him have to go back and forth to the Western Union. So if you can just send some good strength for the elder, whatever you can afford. We do give thanks, and again we'll give a report this Wednesday. We're going to announce our guests for Wednesday shortly, and on Wednesday we will announce what was raised. I'll correspond with our elder, and we'll announce what was raised and thing. Before I forget to, I have
before you go, also we want to make the distinction, apart from it today being my Earthstrong, it is not just to say above the celebration we are raising the funds for, but it is a situation which I'm confronted with now, Cataract. Now, normally the Cuban doctors were based in St. Lucia at the behest of the government of St. Lucia, and they were doing the cataract service free of charge to the citizens of the country. But then recently in January, the American president made a declaration where he started putting pressure on all of the Caribbean governments who had that connection with the Cuban government, because to them, as though those countries were entertaining the Cuban government, because we know for how long the Americans have those sanctions on Cuba and they're not making any strides. They're not reaching anywhere. Cuba is still surviving, you know. So they put pressure on those governments to have them stop the Cuban program. And so that is the situation which I went through all the preliminary tests with the Cuban doctors and so on. And then now when they told me they have me on a list, because February that gone, I was supposed to have had the surgery. But then because of that declaration by Trump, the whole program was closed. Now that in itself shows how truly independent we are as a country, because St. Lucia is bragging and boasting of its sovereignty. So if you are a sovereign country, why you would let another one determine what you do and what you should not do? You know, because he went as far as saying that most of those leaders in the Caribbean region are like cockroach before a fowl. They see America as the fowl and they see themselves as cockroaches. With how belittling themselves, you know. So through that now I have no choice but to face the ordinary private doctors who do the surgery, but then it is costing over 6,000 EC dollars, you know, which is about something all right, yeah.
Yes,
So it's true. So that is what the whole fundraising effort is for, to help me deal with that surgery, the cataract surgery, because all now I must say, you know, before, I mean, the amount of work I used to do before, I have to calm down. Even the phone, the doctors have asked me to try and stay away from the phone as much as I can, because the rays from the phone is also affecting the quality of your vision. You know, so the quicker I can get that thing done, then where I can return to doing my works as an administrator within Rastafari. You know, it would really be an honor, you know. So as we say, yeah, I say to seek and ye shall find. So we're now seeking from the hearts of our people who could reach out to help that situation which I'm going through there presently. So that is the reason for the fundraising. It's not just a birthday celebration or anything. So, you know, it happened that, you know, we are on the program on my Earthstrong, you know, so it's a double honor to be there. But then let the item know it's not just, I'm not just looking to set up a birthday party or anything. So for have corrective surgery to restore my vision, so that I, as I say, so that I can resume.
We lost the elder, but he will come forward. But it's a nice vibe that we're having here. And this is the family and the community that we're building. Big up yourself, Marty Lava. You are a valuable member of the community. And don't take it personal. When you come at the emperor, I'm a defender of the faith, you know. So when you just make a talk in the comments, I'm going to defend it with facts, with history. And it's the high duty now to come and return the facts. We're ready for that. You know what I mean? It's nothing personal. We love the eye. And I always say, this is not a yes man factory. Meaning we don't just want to come here and everybody just agree with everything. One of the key cornerstones of unity is agreeing to disagree. So maybe we go back and forth and then we just agree to disagree and we still are brethren. You know what I mean? Because we agree on more than we probably disagree on in terms of African liberation and redemption. So it's not, you know what I mean? And I know that I say you came through this Rasta tradition, but you don't come with no facts. You just throw out allegations, and then when we thump you with 2 facts, You're not coming back with anything other than saying he's a vassal, him wear the titles. What that mean? We look at policy, we look at how him implement, how him govern the country, we look at the decisions made. These are the things that would indicate whether a man is a puppet or a vassal. So if you're gonna say these things, which you can, come with some facts and some history and throw some thump the other way, but just know, say
Yeah,
we
man.
have
Bring your receipt.
yeah, we battlefield train over here.
Yeah.
As a young Ras, you know, I come from a generation. I come from a generation, Bongo Wisely. When I was at university at Howard, it was the heyday of the Nubians, you know, the Malachi Z. York. And they used to have a little pamphlet called Is Haile Selassie God? And then we had the Hebrew Israelites. We had, you know what I mean, in DC, we had all of these conscious communities. And we back up. Because them come on the campus and I tell people, Ray, and I brethren them, we back up intellectually. No thumbs thrown. Intellectually, we back about the emperor. So I come back a field train. We sit in any gathering and hold with status. And maybe a man disagree, but the man can't say the sword not sharp around here. You know what I mean? Because we study the history. And that's why we don't answer from emotion. We don't just come and say, fire! You can't say that about them. You know, we come with facts, circumstance. We you know what I mean? So that is it. Yeah, and you listen to this. Martin always say, I'm not coming to the emperor. I came through Rasta tradition. I love Rasta too. Just study the history hard. You cannot say the emperor is a vassal or a puppet and say you're not coming for the emperor. That is not logical, because that is an insult. You know, Marcus did the same mistake.
Come there deliberately to spread false news.
Yes, exactly. So now just spin called straw man fallacy. No straw man. I address the topic of the vassal and I gave concrete examples. You know, the arming and the funding of the African liberation movement, the advocacy for China. Bongo Wisely gave the example of the establishment of the non-aligned movement. I gave the example of Russia building the port of Assab, while America having a military base in Eritrea at Kwagnu. These things happening simultaneously. These are indications that this is not a puppet or a vassal, that this man is working his own interest. Didn't talk about the hundreds, maybe thousands of schools that were established in Ethiopia during his reign, the health centers, the hospitals, taking his palace turned to the university, the founding of the Organization of African Unity, which was not in any Western interest. I didn't touch none of that yet, because that's just light work me I deal with the eye. Because you know, come forward with no thump yet. So me just give you some light work. You know what I mean? So and again, just because he's given these titles and you know what I mean, he wear the orders for show you say them bow down. That doesn't mean that he's a vassal. He's just in diplomacy and kindness accepting the highest order that you have to give him when I come check you in your yard. Remember, he's the first world leader to start to travel to foreign capitals. This was a security risk. Head of states never used to travel to foreign countries. It was very rare until His Majesty, as the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, say, you know what, may I come check in at your house and you can't do me nothing, and you better have your military line up and your thing shine up, and you better come. You know what I mean? Is Haile Selassie set them precedents and change international relations forever. So when you talk about the emperor, you know what I mean, you have to talk good, because just as the I say you study, we study, you know what I mean, as well. So you have to know what you're talking about. You can't come with Sykes and I see you come with some different thing, but you don't come with nothing solid. But again, unity means that we have to agree to disagree. You know what I mean, Bongo Wisely? We have to still can live in love, and we disagree.
We have to find ways of putting aside our differences.
Yes, yes. But me just make a one know. So you have to come good. If you go come here and this the emperor with any little thing, you have to come good because we're well trained and well equipped with historical facts and knowledge to counter. Because most people is just surface research they do with the emperor. So they would take one thing, but when you look at the whole totality of the situation, it's clear. You know what I mean? The liberation work, which is still ongoing, is unprecedented. The Rastafari movement itself is a fruit of the emperor's manifestation and work. So, and is the emperor come free up Rastafari in the West? That's a historical fact too. 1966 in Jamaica, with the awarding of gold medals, with having the Jamaican authorities invite Rastafari into public buildings for the first time. That was done by the emperor himself, who lift up the movement in the West. So when you talk about the emperor, talk good. That's all me I say. Conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. You know what I mean? We don't play with the emperor thing around here. All right, Bongo Wisely. I want to switch the gear now to agriculture. The last little movements that we have, because the eye is an agronomist. I want to talk about your love for agriculture. You're also on the committee, subcommittee, RMO subcommittee, where we're creating an ITEL certification standard. But talk about, so I work closely with Bongo Wisely, but talk more about how you got involved with agriculture and how you became an agronomist and your history with the government.
Yeah, well, again, following my graduation at secondary school from St. Mary's College, at that time, well, I had my love for agriculture started from primary school days in my village. Because in the school, we had our school garden, and I was very active, within the school garden and also at home. Because when I grew up as a little youth, our backyard, we used to do backyard gardening, plant our little vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, sweet pepper, these things. We would go out into the pastures and collect animal, like cow dung for manure, bring it home, would pack it together like in a compost heap, wet it, and then would use it when we prepare the land. We would use it to feed our plants. So that love, because that time we couldn't afford to buy fertilizer or anything, so we had to do it natural with the animal dung which we collected. So from there, my love for agriculture started. Then when I went to St. Mary's College, again, I did it at a higher level. We had our own farm, and where we used to go in the farm and study, do the practical and the theoretical. So upon graduation from St. Mary's College, my father wanted me to go and work at a bank, because the bank manager, he had a bank, the bank manager was his friend. And I had difficulties, because I had to tell him, Daddy, I do not want to go and work in no bank, because at them times there you have to be like of a social status to work in bank. You have to be dressed up in your tie and all them kind of things. So, and these things never really attracted me. So I tell him, well, my intention, my preference is to work in agriculture. That time, the Ministry of Agriculture was present in St. Lucia, starting to employ people and so on. He got upset because the salary at the time for the bank workers was much higher than the salary for an agricultural officer. So he started telling me how I was so stupid. I getting how much money and I talking about agriculture and so on, So, but then I persisted, and it so happened that the next day when he went to work, because he was working in the city, he met with the chief agricultural officer, because we at St. Mary's College, we did agricultural science at the GCE level, General Certificate of Examination. Now it's CXC, but at that time it was GCE. And I think it was about 3 of us who succeeded in getting agriculture at that GCE level. So the 2 other individuals were already employed with the ministry. So the chief agricultural officer met my father and tell me, but where's your son? Where's Burnet Sealy? I thought, so then I don't know what answer he gave, but when he came home the next day, he told me that he met with that man and the man is asking for me. So next day I had to set up myself and went to the Ministry of Agriculture, where I was employed. I started working, and within 4 months, I got a scholarship to go to Jamaica to study agriculture. I was taken to the Jamaica School of Agriculture, where I did a diploma, general diploma in agricultural science. And then I returned to the ministry, worked with the ministry, and then from there now we started doing other different courses at the University of the West Indies in Trinidad. Went to 2 weeks course, sometimes a 3 weeks course, to upgrade my skills and knowledge, So from there now, I started working in terms of the work we were doing. I was CARDI, which is the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, which is a regional institution, had just come into St. Lucia. So then I was selected as one of the government's representatives to work with CARDI. There was 2 of us that were chosen as government reps. So from there I started working from the ministry, I worked with CARDI. And in CARDI, we were involved in a lot of research, because at the time, banana, which was the main crop in St. Lucia, most farmers were banana farmers. So the decline of bananas was just starting. So the government was now coming with what they call diversification of agriculture, to move away from just bananas alone, and they started to intercrop the bananas. So we did a lot of intercropping with bananas and other things like yams, dasheen, other produce. We also did a lot of varietal trials, trying different varieties of vegetables to see which one would be more appropriate for what area. Because there are different areas. There are areas which are dry, there are areas which are in high rainfall region, and there are areas which are low rainfall areas. So we had to do a lot of research in those areas, and I enjoyed doing these things, because it had me working with the farmers themselves, not just in an agricultural station as such, but with the farmers, because the trials which we did were done on the farmer's farm. So it helped me develop my relationship with a number of farmers in the country at the time, and I really enjoyed it, I must say, And again, now continuing, as I embrace Rastafari, I start to realize, well, I need to move away from the conventional type of agriculture where a lot of fertilizer and chemicals were being bombarded, to the soil. So even there, I got a lot of fight from my officers, my supervisors, when I told them about how we need to encourage the farmers to use natural things instead of using all them fertilizer, because the fertilizer only killing the soil. So eventually they accepted, but now I must say that the ministry is promoting sustainable agriculture, organic agriculture, you know, in that sense. So then combining the two, the Rastafari and our because as Rastafari we were talking about going back to nature, you know. So fertilizer and them chemicals, they were not part of nature. These were inventions which were used to supplement or to take the place of the natural products. Or some people felt the natural way was too slow. If they use fertilizer, the crops would grow faster. But in growing faster, the shelf life of the plants reduce as well. Because with all the fertilizer, when your tomatoes, you harvest your tomatoes, your cabbage, and if you do have a fridge to put them in, after 2 days they will start to decompose, they would rotten out. You know, so all of these things gave me more confidence, you know, that the natural way is the best way. Because I would realize that even when I did my little farming at home, the tomatoes would stay on the table for a whole week. The cabbage would remain a whole week without rotting. You know, so all of these things just convinced me. And then now I started studying more about organic agriculture. And then, you know, I increased my knowledge. And then I was doing it practical as well, you know. So it's all them things that really, you know, the love for Rastafari and, you know, the need to go back to nature. You know, all of these concreted the idea of embracing organic agriculture. But then as we move down in organic agriculture, I came to realize that the Americans had a certain standard for organic agriculture. The French countries had another standard. The British had another standard. And when I say standards, meaning that different products which could be used, which was acceptable within organic agriculture. For example, sewage sludge, like when your septic tank is filled, there would be a truck would come and empty the tank, and they would go and deposit it somewhere. Wow.
No worries. We're loving the history. We're loving the history, Elder. What a fullness. If you are watching live, and we're going to be sealing up shortly, but if you're watching live, we are celebrating the Earthstrong of our legendary Elder Bongo Wisely, one of the pioneers of Rastafari in agriculture, formal agricultural sector in the Caribbean, champion of organic and now the ITAL standard, agronomist, trained agronomist who has been serving the St. Lucia Rastafari community for decades now, former president of the CRO, Caribbean Rastafari Organization. Nothing but respect for Bongo Wisely. We're asking ones to support the elder. He's trying to get a cataract surgery. 3,000 US is the goal. We have his information in the bottom, his number and his government name, Burnet Sealy. So you can send him via Western Union, via MoneyGram. We are testing out this community that we have built here, the Lion Pride, one of the greatest, not one of, let me talk good, the greatest comment section on the internet, and a beautiful growing community. We're growing slowly but surely. 75,000 strong, almost getting ready to touch 76,000 strong. I don't watch the overall subscriptions in terms of the true test because that's just somebody sees it, they click the subscribe button. Sometimes they may, they may watch one video a year, but they're still part of the Lion Pride because they took a step, they took an action to subscribe to the platform. But our hardcore audience, I would say right now, people who lock in with us is about 500 people. Where our live videos average about 500 when it's all said and done, people. So I would say in terms of the viewing, locked in audience globally, which is a small amount, but put 500 people in a room and you see that it's not an insignificant number of people. So what I'm trying to do is get that 500 people. Even if we had 500 people in our Patreon, we would be moving very strongly in terms of how we move as a platform. The goal for a mature ecosystem is you want about 1,000 people, monthly paid subscribers at the $10 level for a mature ecosystem that can sustain somebody full time. That's what we look at. We're far from that, but what we do have, again, if we have 300 people out of that 500 people, give $10 to the elder, we solve this problem right there. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I know more than 300 people will watch this video. So just look at the bottom of the screen, and we're just testing out our power. The more that we achieve together, the stronger that we get, the more confident that we get, the more that we're going to do, and the more that we're going to use this platform, because we're already in the history book of Rastafari Media, this platform. I want the item know that, because the item did it. It's not I self. Lion Voice Network is already in the history book in terms of Rastafari globally. What we are now seeing is, how does the history continue to write about us? The Lion Pride will be known as a movement that came and shook up the whole scene as an economic power, an economic marketplace, feeding our ecosystem. You see our sponsors, Rastafari businesses, big up Devani Green and the Woman Painted Purple novel. I hope you're all buying that novel. Big up to iRoots Records. I hope you're buying vinyl and books. Big up Frontline Books. I hope you're buying Frontline Books. Our newest sponsor, the Griots Paintbrush children's book. If you see the illustration with the brethren do, you see the nice commercial with the brethren do. Our UK family, we have a big audience in the UK. Big up our UK family. Make sure you order the book anywhere. They ship worldwide. Newest sponsor coming on board. We are welcoming the Marcus Garvey Music Festival. They're going to be advertising with us for July. Big up the Conscious Reggae Concert. They advertise with us. So people are feeding the ecosystem, and we want our audience to in turn feed those ones. This is how we're separating. This is how we're creating our own bubble, our own ecosystem where we can just take with time and ease out of what Babylon do. Yes, we're using YouTube, but we have to, because we can't afford our own satellite and our own servers yet. So we use the public airwaves, or the main airwaves, which is Google. Google is the largest search engine. YouTube is the second largest search engine. We use the platform where everyone around the world has access to YouTube and Google. So we use that to build with strength. But we are building our email list. We're building our Patreon. So, we have our newsletter. So if we have to come off this platform and switch to another platform, we still have our people. And that's another thing I want to stress to the family. Make sure you go to thechazmatchkwasi.com or become a free member of the Patreon. Make sure we have your email so you can get our newsletter. The July newsletter is going to come out on July 23rd. So make sure we have your email address. you can go to our Patreon and sign up as a free member and get the newsletter. But we're building a community. We just had our first community works grant that went to Mama G. If you didn't see that episode yesterday, we interviewed Mama G. And we're going to be doing more things like that, more things where we're raising funds for elders, more things where we're, as we get stronger. And this is natural to I, because these are things I've done for decades now, and not publicized. But now that I have the platform and we are building in strength, we are going to be fulfilling the Rastafari creed. That goes without saying. And so this is just a natural progression of the work. Bongo Wisely, are you there? Okay.
Yes,
we lost the light where you are.
Yeah, right. Because the battery, I have to put the phone on charge, and it's away from the light. So
Okay. Well,
it might be difficult.
We were getting ready. Yeah, we were getting ready to seal up anyhow. So I just want the eye to give some final sounds, and we're gonna return. We're not gonna leave the eye until the eye full up the $3 grand, Bongo Wisely. I want the eye to know that,
Sure.
We will make some calls behind the scenes as well. So I'll follow up with the eye to see what came out of this episode in a couple of days, because most people will watch it on the replay. Most people will watch it on the replay. So we'll give a couple of days for everyone to kind of full up and give their attribution. And then Wednesday, I'll announce what we raise. And if we need to have more episodes or fundraising, we will do that until the I reach that goal, Bongo Wisely, because you're too precious to I, and you have done too much work. So this is light work, as the young people say. This is light work in terms of strengthening the I, because of the I has strengthened I. So,
we still didn't even have time to go in terms of the Rastafari works that has been done,
Yes. We have so much more to block.
To talk about, in terms of my involvement with the Naya Bingi House, with the CRO.
Yeah, we don't touch nothing. Bongo Wisely, do you
none
know
of them things yet?
Do you know the Arc Band Twins, a St. Lucia reggae band based in Ohio? Have you ever heard of them?
What name?
The Arc Band Twins.
What name? I didn't hear the name.
Arc Band. This is
the Arc Band Twins.
Yeah, in Ohio. They've been playing since the 80s.
I'm not.
You're not familiar?
Probably I may know the individuals. I may probably know the individuals, but I'm not the Arc Band Twins. I'm not too familiar with that name.
Yes. Put the names in the comments if you know the names of the brethren them. Marty Lava. But yeah, man, we have a lot more to go, but we don't have any light. So we'll reschedule another episode, and we'll start with the CRO and the Rastafari works. Bongo White. Yeah. So this is part one. As I say, their name is Terry and Eustace Bob. You know them?
Oh, I know Eustace Bob. Yeah, I know him very good. Yeah.
Okay, give thanks. Yeah. All right, so give your final words on Bongo Wisely.
Yes, I will give thanks again. I must give thanks to the IAQASI for that opportunity to reach out to the wider public, with that situation which confronts me presently with the need for the surgery. As I was saying, I had already gone through all the preliminary tests which was required to have the surgery done by the Cuban doctors. But then with that thing by Trump, we have to start all over. So at the private entity, I still have to go and do all them tests over again, and that's why the cost for it comes to about 6,000 EC dollars, so that is what I was trying to raise those funds. There are brethren and sisters who have indicated their interest in supporting me. They have promised to send whatever they can, and everything will be acceptable. As they say, every maker makes a mocker. So no, nothing is too small. I know certain people going through challenges as well. I'm not the only one going through such challenges. So whatever one can give, it would be appreciated loved. Because as I say, I really would like to restore, the proper vision so that I could continue the works which I've started to do in the name of Rastafari. So brethren and sistren, wherever the item be, hearing that word sound, as long as it's possible from your end, we're not forcing anything from the item, but it's out of the heart. We're appealing to the heart, to the conscience of ones and ones to try and help in such a worthy cause. So I give thanks for the opportunity. As I say, we will come forward another day to do more vibes, but then presently is the surgery is what I really need to do. There are a number of people who will tell me, boy, there's no need to do surgery, and so on, and they've recommended different natural herbs which can be used. I've been using a lot of them because currently I use things like castor oil. I use, things like there's a plant they call plantain. I squeeze the leaf and the juice, I would drop it in the eye. Raw honey. Brethren brought some raw honey for me. I would take the raw honey and drop it in the eye before I go to bed every night, and so on. All of these things has worked. It had worked to a certain level because there were people because since 2019, I was diagnosed with the cataract, and the natural herbs which I've been using has prolonged. Because all now I can still read certain things, but as the doctors tell me, try not to do reading on the phone and them kind of things, So sometimes the natural herbs which may be used is probably when it's in the early stages, but I guess now it's in an advanced stage.
Yes.
So there is the need for the cataract, because what the cataract does is that the lens has been, what they would say, it's dirty, it needs cleaning, but the natural herbs would clean out the lens. But if it is in an advanced stage, the best thing would be to remove the lens, and through the surgery, and when the lens is removed, there is another lens which is below it would take over. And as I said, the testimony of different ones who've gone through that surgery thing with the Cubans, it's amazing to hear what some of them have to say, the way they see much better now than even before, So I'm confident that the Almighty will never give us more than we can bear. So I am prepared to, to go through this surgery to remove because the lens, which, as I say, I'm wearing glasses from the age of 14,
Yes.
And also, I would like to say that also, my parents, both of my parents were wearing glasses. And it so happened, both of my parents lost their lives on road accident, meaning while crossing the road, a vehicle knocked them down.
Wow.
And at that time, cataract probably was not, the information about cataract was not that prominent. So probably we didn't know it is cataract they had.
Wow.
So now that it reached me, I'm the only one who used to wear glasses in the family. You know, but although now I see my other brothers wearing glasses, but some of them is more reading glasses. You know, my sister wears glasses also, you know.
Wow.
So I don't want to end up just like them to see crossing the road and a vehicle just write me off. So
Yes.
I would love to see the restoration of my vision
It's
so
gonna
that I
happen.
could,
It's gonna
yeah,
happen,
man,
brother.
I remain confident in the
The
victory
eye
of
block
good
the
over
sound.
evil.
The eye block the sound, and you've put in the work. The community will respond. I am confident in that.
Definitely.
So the eye will see it. And again, the Lion Voice Network, we're not gonna leave the eye until um we meet that
Mission is
goal.
accomplished.
Yeah, man. So the Lion Pride, they're tuned in, are faithful. I want to just take this opportunity to big up Ras Roots. Ras Roots now has a wrench beside his name because we have made Ras Roots a moderator for the platform as we grow. We're gonna assign ones as moderator. Ras Roots is one of our most faithful Lion Pride members. He was the first Lion Pride member of the month in Patreon. The IDMC, he contributes to the platform every episode, $5, $10. He is an Ubuntu Lion Pride member. He's a Lion Pride on Patreon member. He's just a volunteer that, what I mean, we really have gratitude for ones like Ras Roots. So Ras Roots, as a moderator, you're able to hide people's comments, kick people out of the comments. We don't need it, but as we grow, I can't, because sometimes, depending on what's happening, I don't get to read all of the comments. I don't see all of the comments that's happening. So Ras Roots will be able to help us to monitor as the channel grows, because we are anticipating a growth spurt when this economic crisis hits America, and a lot of people are going to be forced inside because the price of traveling get a little wassy on them and food prices grow. We are anticipating a surge in viewership because a lot of people think that we just run our mouth over here and they're not watching the geopolitics of what's going on. So we just want to be prepared for the influx. And we also have some very big interviews planned with some, world-renowned names that are coming up that we're going to be dropping on the platform soon. So we just want to be ready. Also, I want to shout out to my good sister who I didn't get her residence right, Litraso in Empress. Boy, I always get this one wrong, but it's a French Empress Menin, the Empress Menin, Le Trousseau de l'Imperialtrice Menin. Boy, I know I butchered it, but my sister is from Martinique, and she is one of our Lion Pride on Patreon from Reunion Island. She lives in Reunion Island, which is on the other side. That's why when I say that Lion Pride is global, that's why I stick out my chest a little bit, because you know what I mean, we have people we can back up. We don't just talk, we have facts. You know what I mean? So anytime I see my sister, I feel so strong. She's asking the idol Bongo Wisely, did you ever meet Sister Nutmeg from Martinique?
Sister Nutmeg.
Yes.
Again, probably I may not know the name Nutmeg. Probably I may know her by some other name, because we've done a St. Lucia, Ayanola. We've done a lot of missionary work, in Martinique and Guadeloupe.
Yes.
In terms of the Bingy House, and so on. We've done a lot of work from the time of Ras Du in Martinique, who was the first president of the EWF in Martinique.
Yes.
So
I
maybe know her by some other name.
Yes. Have you reasoned with Honorable Priest Kailash?
Yes, I.
Okay, give thanks. Give thanks. Did he recommend anything for the eye?
Well, in terms of apart from the vision, he has given me different, got the raw honey. I
Yes.
got some from him,
Oh,
you know.
beautiful, beautiful.
But then there's another waste problem which he has been assisting me in terms of thing of late, not of late, but from the last time I used to go by him
Yeah, okay,
in terms of
beautiful.
treatment, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
give thanks.
Priscilla and I, we go very close together. We've done a lot of works together, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I
Even
love
in
it.
terms, because I remember once we had a coming together of Naya Bingi and Bobo Shanti. That was for the 130th anniversary of His Majesty. That was in 2022. You know,
Okay.
on his thing, they actually built a Naya Bingi tabernacle. They have their Bobo Shanti tabernacle, and they actually constructed a Naya Bingi tabernacle so that we could have full take within that whole ceremony. And
Okay.
it was really a joy, you know, for those few days which we spent up at Mount Kailash. Yeah. Yeah, man, because before the Bobo Shanti was well established, Priest Kailash used to be coming to the Nyabingi house in cantonment in
Yes.
Viewfort. Yeah, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So we
Well,
have a very good relationship.
I give thanks for the unity. And this is the coming together. Honorable Priest Kailash has been on this platform a couple of times. So it's just one family and globally that is coming together here on the Lion Voice Network and on other platforms. We give thanks for life and strength. I see all of the comments in the comment section giving their recommendations as well. Um, we give thanks. My sister from Martinique says, yes, I remember Ras Doe, Sister Nutmeg, or Moscade. Those names ring a bell.
Oh, Miscad. Miscad.
Yes.
Yeah, well, nutmeg, the Creole name for nutmeg is Miscad.
Okay, okay.
And
So
I'm familiar with the name Miscad, yeah. I know her. Yes,
okay, okay. You see, so it's one family. And we will be having someone from Martinique on the platform soon. And Letroso, the Emperatrice, the eye is welcome to, anytime the eye want to feature on the platform, the eye just have to reach out. We would love to have the eye talk about the eye. Yes, pronounce it for me. Yeah, pronounce it for me.
That would be the Creole for Empress.
Yes.
Emperatrice. Yeah.
Emperatrice. Letroso Emperatrice. Letroso de l'Emperatrice. You see, we're coming. You know what I mean? We're not perfect.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, man. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah, so anytime the I ready, my sister from Martinique, who's one of our earliest Lion Pride on Patreon, she and her King Man supported us way, it's been a couple of years, I think now, from Reunion Island. I always feel joy when anytime I see the item comment. So big up the Martinique family in Reunion Island. We also have Lion Pride on Patreon from Australia. Selassie, big up yourself, King. All of our global family, give thanks. And again, we just added a new Lion Pride and Patreon member, Ras Amaha Selassie from Ohio. Big up. And Ras Daniel, we would love to have the eye from Nevada, USA, join our Lion Pride and Patreon family as well. We're voting now every month for a Lion Pride on Patreon Community Works grant recipient. So we would love to have the eye. My sister, again, if you want to come on and be our first guest from Martinique. We would love that. So just let I and I know so we can set that up. Okay, Marty Lava says he knows Amaha, a very active teacher. I know Amaha over 20 years, Marty Lava. Long time you know, brethren. So, small world, small world. All right. So that being said, give us your final word, son, Bongo Wisely, and then we seal up for this time. The contact information is below. We're going for $3,000. $3,000. Let's show the world what the Lion Pride can do. I know a lot of us are tired of the talking, the this, the that, but we are documented. We have one of the largest archives of Rastafari history on the planet now, the Lion Voice Network. Again, we are doing over 4,000 watch hours every 28 days, meaning that people sit on front of them screen. Over 4,000 hours of content people are watching around the world of this authentic Rastafari content. Over 100,000 views every month on this YouTube platform. So let us use our power, our growing community, to just crush them little problems with the elders have. We also have our Nana Faraika. We'll have that information as well for Wednesday for our Nana Faraika. Before I leave though, I want to play a commercial for a coming event. I just got this one hot off the press. So let me just play this very quickly.
Join us on Sunday, August 9th, 2026 at 5 p.m. for the 25th annual fundraiser for the Shashamane Foundation at the Silver Spring Civic Center, Great Buffalo Hall in Silver Spring, Maryland. Come be a part of an evening that helps transform lives by supporting quality education and sustainable development at the JRDC School in Shashamane, Ethiopia. Your presence and generosity help empower children, strengthen communities, and build a brighter future. Can't attend? You can still make a difference by donating at shashamane.org or by scanning the event QR code. Mark your calendar, bring your family and friends, and let's build a lasting legacy together. We'll see you there. Rastafari TV and Sight Media are proud sponsors of the Shashamane Foundation.
So big up Sister Fanai, Rastafari TV, for the beautiful advertisement that will be added to our ad roll. I will be there. I will be also performing at that event prayerfully.
On Productions and RBG Alliance presents CRC, 3rd Annual Conscious Reggae Concert, Family Unity Fest. From the farm to the fest. Also, a mini farmers market on Saturday, July 11 from 12 noon to 12 a.m. Live in concert, reggae royalty, the Abyssinians, Aisha Bell, Mary Isaacs, I Genoa, Ragalocks, I Brave, Chihuahua, I Stick, Bingy Blaze, Aisha's Ras, and Newton G. Guest speaker, Dr. Kadamawi Knife, addressing food sovereignty and food security, musical juggling, Weber International, and Teacher Sound, MCs, Dahlia Powers, and Ron Mouchette at Jammin's, One Park Place, New Kingston, next to Emancipation Park. CRC, Family Unity Fest, Saturday, July 11, from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Be there. 321 Productions and RB.
Yes, so you see we have Conscious Reggae Concert this coming strong. Make sure you're there if you're in Jamaica. This is history. The Abyssinians live in Kingston, Jamaica. Big lineup. Aisha Bell, Chihuahua, I Stick. You've seen some of them on this platform. I Brave, you've seen some of them on this platform. So go check them out. Live is going to be a whole production. Farmers market will be there, so you know it's right in line with what we defend over here. Also the Shashamane fundraiser, we're going to have Brother Carl and a few others on the platform to talk about Shashamani, what's happening with the Shashamani Foundation, what's going on in Ethiopia with the school. So stay tuned for that. And we'll also have an update on this fundraiser with Bongo Wisely Wednesday. We'll announce our guests for this Wednesday shortly. And then we will have an update from Bongo Wisely. I'll make sure to touch base with him to see what was raised. And then we'll bring him forward to get more of the fullness of his works with CRO, Rastafari works, agricultural works, what he's doing now, and make sure that he reaches his goal for the surgery. And then after the surgery, we'll have him on as well for check up on him. Our patient, you know what I mean? We love Bongo Wisely. So we just want to say on behalf of the entire Lion Voice Global family, blessed Earthstrong Bongo Wisely. We love the eye. The eye is valued. The eye is a legendary elder for I and I. We honor the eye, what the eye represent to Rastafari, the integrity to agriculture, to the whole world. And we are here to say that the age must be protected, and we stand ready to fulfill our goal as a collective. So big up Lion Pride, big up everyone who has been supporting the movement and this mighty uprising of Rastafari independent non-aligned media. And just know that we won't stop. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is
the Lion Voice.
I would say this is Kabanka Pyramid representing the Lion Voice blog. Make sure that them check it out and stay tuned. See you? Rastafari blessings every time.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lamb's voice. Now put it, I Jalifa said that.
This is
the Abyssinians.
The time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. This is
the Lion's Voice.
They had no fear at all. It was God, it was God, let him be praised. It was God, let him be praised.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it 60 dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
African pride, root of all nations, boy. I tried with the lion, the Rastafari. Lion of it tried with lioness like I do. Empress on the front line, we need you. Well, this is Medicine, the steady one, and you are now tuned in to the Lion's Voice Network. What the lion fought for do? Scorch them. Roast and parch them.
Empress man, and I young science. Oh, you're wrong.
Blessed love, this is Itege Idama, and it's time for the lioness and the lion's voices to be heard. This is the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice. Well, front to us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Rastafari. Lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Rastafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Cote d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie say fi end all tribal war. A time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. Then Rastafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Then Rastafari. We do everything.
iRoots Records, an online shop for reggae and dub vinyl, CDs and Rastafari books. Rastafari owned and operated for over 15 years. We ship worldwide. We have many titles from Frontline publications in stock. We have 50 plus Akabeka Midnight titles, which we believe is the most of any shop in the world. Special invite for the Lion Pride. Use code Lion's Voice and save 10% store-wide. If you spend $125 or more, the discount goes up to 15%. Visit us online at www.irootsrecords.com. The time has come.
321 Productions and RBG Alliance presents the 3rd annual Conscious Reggae Concert Family Unity Fest, featuring the Abyssinians, Aisha Bell, Mary Isaacs, Ragalux, iBrave, and many more at the Jammings in New Kingston. 2,500 pre-sold, 3,000 at the door. Children under 12 for free. Don't miss the Abyssinians live in Kingston, Jamaica. Can't be missed. History.
In the haunting echoes of violence against women in St. Anne, Jamaica, a mysterious vigilante emerges. For the Woman Painted Purple unfurls a gripping narrative of empowerment, retribution, and the pursuit of justice. Brenda and her group sisters bond together in therapy over their common struggles, but soon their group becomes the subject of an investigation. As the vigilante's actions escalate, the relentless detective, Officer Woodley, races to unmask the mystifying figure. For the Woman Painted Purple is a pulse-pounding tale that explores the boundaries of justice, revenge, and the fighting spirit. This thrilling saga delves into the complexities of dealing with mental health, domestic abuse, and finding love after. Own your copy today. Visit www.devonigreen.com.
This is The Black Heart Man, Rastafari children's picture book with hand-painted illustrations and rhythmic storytelling. This is a journey you do not want to miss. We offer worldwide shipping, so order your copy today at www.degreaspaintbrush.com. Alternatively, you can order your copy from TikTok. If you are interested in stocking the book, please email us at degreaspaintbrush@gmail.com. Give thanks.